Hi guys, I'm Luke. I'm the sous chef here at the Billesley Manor Hotel, and today we're going to make a roast pork dinner in preparation for Mother's Day. It's going to be a wonderfully crispy roast pork loin with a warm apple compote and some blinding roast potatoes. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to score the pork. Now personally I like to score it lengthways, just so it means that everybody gets a little bit of crackling on their pork dinner. Okay, so now what we're going to do, after we've scored it, just going to get a little bit of olive oil, just going to rub it nicely into the skin, create a nice golden colour on top of that, and just a nice generous pinch of sea salt. So now the pork's salted, it's oiled, we need to get the vegetables cut so that the pork can rest on that for when it's cooking. So I'm going to cut the veg into 5 to 6 centimetre pieces just to make a nice even consistency. Nothing's going to overcook, everything will sort of cook the same, which is really good for the pork. So now all our vegetables are cut in our tray. I'm going to place the pork on top of it. We're going to roast that in the oven at 160 degrees. Okay, so now the pork's in the oven, we're going to start on our potatoes, just so everything's ready at the same time and it'll all come together wonderfully. We're going to peel our potatoes, and we're going to cut them into quarters. I'd normally say 3 or 4 quarters of a potato per person. It's a nice serving, good helping for everyone really. Okay, so now the potatoes are quartered, we're going to put them into a pan. We need to make sure we put cold water in there to bring them up with the water. Okay, so what I've done with the apple is I've peeled it, I've cored it, and I've cut them into 2 different sizes of dice. So I've got a bigger dice to make a puree with, and then a smaller dice that I'm going to end up folding through the puree just to create a little bit of crunch when we eat the pork later. We're going to get a nice hot pan on the heat. We're going to add our butter to it and our sugar, which is just going to start off a nice light caramel. Just slowly bring them up to a nice temperature to make the compote with. Okay, so once the apples are off the heat, all I've done is I've put them in a blender to make a nice smooth puree. What I've done with mine is I've just chilled it in the fridge for an hour, just so that it's nice and cold. It's going to go in with our small diced apples. Okay, so I've just taken the duck fat out of the oven that we've been warming. The potatoes are nicely cooked and drained. I've given them a little shake about in the pan, just to create some nice rough edges that will eventually go nice and fluffy. I'm going to gently pour the potatoes into the pan, just so that we don't splash ourselves. Put on a little bit of thyme, and a pinch of salt, and they're going to go into the oven to get nicely roasted. Okay, so now we're going to slice the pork, ready to be served. We're going to have ourselves a lovely dinner. That sound is absolutely beautiful. It means I've got a lovely crisp crackling, which is exactly what I wanted. I'm going to start by putting the potatoes on the plate. I'm going to lean the pork up against the potatoes quite nicely. Okay, so we've got our lovely pork, and the crackling's just come off it a little bit, but that's alright because it's going to get eaten anyway. Put some lovely roasted heritage carrots on there as well, because I think every good pork dish should have some nice roasted veg with it. To finish the pork dish, we're just going to finish it with some of these lovely pork juices. I'll put some of this apple compote on that we made earlier, just a nice big spoon on the side. Then to garnish, some of the little carrot tops, because we don't really like wasting much of the carrot. It just sort of brings out a bit of colour to the dish. That's a lovely top quality pork from Dingley Dell. The nice apple compote just cuts through the fatness of the pork really well.